It's time for more divine deception. It's time for a poll. Is Ariane a direct accomplice in the Cock Robin murders? An interesting question. And a controversial one. Ooh, yes, a tough question, but a fair one. And the survey says... Survey says a decent margin of, yes. It's been so long I have to actually remember how we were doing this poll. I think what I wound up doing is taking the percentage of my chips equal to the difference in percentage between the votes. So in this case, it'd be 14% of my chips. Because realistically, everyone gets a percentage of my chips. And, if everyone voted accordingly as they did in this poll, then the net gain, or loss, would be equivalent to the difference in percentage points between the winning choice and the not winning choice. So, is Ariane a direct accomplice in the Cock Robin murders? Say yes. And that's a 14% bet. So it is, so it shall be. Yes. No trust in your heart, it seems like. But hey, fair enough. I suspect most would bet like you. Now you've got to choose how much you're actually betting. But my secondary poll there is that the answer to this bet comes back to her direct involvement in the events of Laverna's first case in this game, the extra Cock Robin murder. We have 116 chips. We're betting 16 chips. Just rounds off that nicely. Okie dokie, just gonna jot that down. Cool. Let's check back on that when we get a clear answer, one way or the other. Might be a bit. Interesting, we're on to level 5 now. Means there's gonna be 7 chapters in total here. So, in our credit now, time for Locke's Chapter 4. Martingale. I double-checked the address. Yep, this was definitely the place. Okay. I mean, fair enough. Not like I was living it up lavishly. Still, this place? Really? Guess it didn't feel particularly, gubernatorial. I think that's the word for governor-related things. I'm, like, 80% sure. I mean, considering Bach's current financial state, I really shouldn't be surprised. Frankly, if he was lounging in a pretty nice place, I'd be a little miffed. But here? It looked honestly unsafe, and in Panthea, that was saying something. Still, no better place to meet than Bach's apartment. Meeting at Nahoy's nest was off limits for some time. Whoops. Look, I had to pull the ripcord somehow. They'd be back on their feet soon enough. Probably. No, not probably. Definitely. They'd definitely be fine. For now, they were laying low and rebuilding after the whole police raid false murder scare. Really, for my purposes, it didn't super matter. I'd like me to get an underground casino was a great idea for a political election campaign meeting. I checked my imitation watch. I'm on time right now. Probably better to still wait a minute or two. I stretched out my arms and started leaning against one of the brick walls of the alleyway right next to the building. Any mention of your encounter with Devon? Aimlessly, my eyes wandered up, looking at the graffiti and fire escapes all over the place. This scenery. It was familiar. What was I doing thinking about this? This wasn't a good period of my life. No happy memories here. Oh? But I guess it was pretty goddamn formative. I see that the points when you're close to death are the points where you decide how you're going to live. In my case, that was pretty literal. Living on the streets was rough. I didn't have a resume to help with a job. I didn't have half a shot at getting any sort of higher education in my position. I didn't have the first clue how to fend for myself. I just lived off the generosity of strangers. I learned pretty quickly that there really wasn't a lot of that to spread around. It was a cutthroat world. If you wanted to get anything, you had to earn it. In game theory, the term zero-sum game means a system where any gains inevitably come at the cost of somebody else. It's overly simplistic to consider life a zero-sum game. That's the sort of thinking that leads to the dumbest policies or lifestyles. Plenty of things in life simply make life better for everyone. That could be grand scientific policies achieved through working together or shared positive emotions through humor or stories. But there was a darker side to that as well. It also meant that there were times when people's losses were smaller than the gains others could receive through those. Anyone who claims money's value is a fucking moron. A $100 bill in the hands of a poor man is worth dozens more than the same bill in the hands of a rich man. It's all relative. To maximize total global happiness, the trick was to make sure resources were in the hands of those who'd appreciate them the most. AKA, eat the rich. To survive, I started needing to make some real money. And mine went to straight up theft or pickpocketing, but I couldn't stomach that. Just too high risk. A little too mean-spirited. And it's not like I had any actual talents that could be marketed on the streets. I wasn't a dancer, a musician, an artist, anything of the sort. Well, I'd always been a bit sharper than the next kid. Why not take advantage of that? I started out performing from the bottom of the barrel, 3-card Monty. Took a bit to get over my more justice-based objections. Luckily, hunger pangs do a lot towards squashing moral arguments. As it is, yes. 3-card Monty racket I started wasn't particularly refined or profitable, but it got its job done. I started making a bit of cash. Used that to invest in myself, of course. Started researching more scam methods throughout history. Human psychology. Bought props. Started coming up with more original routines. More elaborate ways to get money from any given passerby. Didn't really feel bad for anyone. If you're putting money down on a street-side bet, you're pretty much just given to charity in reality. All the while I was learning about more types of cheats, refining my sleight of hand, working on a con man's vocabulary. Eventually I had enough funds to move up in the world to the next step. Underground gambling. Run in the circles I did long enough and you learn where to find them. I had been saving capital from my scams, and eventually I had decent enough seed money. I still remember the absolute terror with which I first entered the casino. If things went wrong. If I blew my starting amount, I'd be real fucked. But things didn't go wrong. I studied enough. I practiced enough. Like I always thought I was sharper than most guys in any given room. I knew how to put money to better use than any other drunken bum throwing their salary down on roulette. People refer to gambling as a luck-based skill, but it's not really. Not when you're willing to cheat. Then it's a mix of luck, intelligence, and performance. I made money, then more money, and more money after that. The fun thing about gambling is that you can really start to compound your winnings if you want. Of course, winning so much in the same place at the same time was too suspicious. I knew to play the long game. I switched between the few casinos in the city, got into the habit of wearing different disguises whenever I went to the same place twice. Coming up with disguises was actually quite fun. It got me in the habit of character work early on. But it couldn't hold forever. Eventually all this shit would catch up to me. That whole scene got wise to my game. The night they decided to make their move, had I not been particularly on edge, I likely would have been capped then and there. Once again, I was smarter than the next guy and was able to get out alive. At this point, I knew when to cash out. I took all my winnings and hightailed it out of there. Is that how you left your hometown and came to Panthea? Went right to Aurea. It was close by and it felt like a good place to stretch my wings. Using my winnings, I got a cheap-ass apartment and began planning my next move. Small-time scams were kind of risky and didn't really pay off in major ways. How long could I survive just going after little fish after little fish? Were random upper-class dudes really the best target? If I was going to live risky, why not go bigger? I spent time getting to know Aurea better. See, a city always has two sides. The national side, the one people outside the city think of, that visitors see. And the real side, the hard facts and knowledge that the locals knew. It was that real side I needed to take advantage of. I spent time fishing around Aurea, looking for ways to get to my main target. And eventually I found an inn. A planned carefully and put my all into the job. All my savings were spent making sure things went off without a hitch. Put my disguising talents to good use, playing multiple characters to set things up just the way I wanted. I nearly read that as disgusting the first time. Finally, I struck. Operation Drachma. With perfect precision, I carried out a completely bloodless heist of Aria's central bank. It was a combination of confusion, misdirection, and well-crafted lies that got multiple trusted individuals to start dancing to my pace. In the end, it was the bank's manager themselves that loaded an empty, unmarked car right next to the bank with the cash himself. Then, when he went back in to grab the last bag, I simply entered the car and made off in my well-prepared escape route. With several carefully crafted red herrings to throw people off the scent, and a scheme to quickly exchange the dirty money with clean bills, I was able to make a completely clean getaway. This heist was a real talk of the town. People still talk about it. I'm not sure how you managed to get... This poor street surveillance? They called me the auto-larcenist. Dumb title, but still cool to note that I had a title. The payout from that job, I finally had real money to my name. I had made it. I was so impressed with myself, so proud of how far I came. You know, I was so excited that I even ended up telling all this to an old friend from way back when. I went out of my way to get in contact with them, too. And instead of the excitement I was expecting, I was met with nothing more than disappointment? I think that'd be the right word for it. Look of what have you become? Seriously? Seriously? Oh, I'm sorry that I carried out a bloodless victimless crime. The bank was insured. People who used the bank didn't lose out. The bank didn't lose out. The only people who lost out were so abstracted and so high up that a loss like this was a minor inconvenience. To me, this was life-changing money. Was I really supposed to feel? What, bad? Guilty? Fuck that. People have narrow views of morality because of what society reinforces. It makes sense society would reinforce those narrow views. If everybody saw things straight, there'd be a lot more auto-larcenists. Or break out of that narrowly conditioned box and you get a much better view of things. A thief really isn't that amoral. At the very least, it's not significantly less moral than any number of jobs that are perfectly legal as things stand. The only real distinction is that getting taxes from a thief is a lot harder. No, I slept on my auto-larcenist laurels quite nicely, but it wasn't that big of a score, all things considered. You factored in all the costs, then how much I lost when taking measures to throw people off the scent. It was a lot, don't get me wrong, but not enough to just live off of indefinitely. But Panthea hid untold riches. If things went well, I wouldn't have to work another day in my life when I was through with this city. So then, time to make my way up. I entered the apartment complex and quickly began climbing the stairs. I made my way to the number I was given. Pretty high up, all things considered, though not the top floor or anything like that. It took a bit to find the right door. The damn numbering system made fuck all sense. Eventually, though, I found Bach's apartment. I knocked on the door. And seconds later, I was greeted with a familiar face. In his boxers and a plain white t-shirt. No, it's him. Oh, Locke. You're here. For a second there, I thought something had happened or something. Yeah, sorry about that. Got a bit mixed up on the way here. But I didn't keep you waiting that long. No, of course not. Anyways, you're here. Make yourself at home. Thank you, my dear friend. I think I'll do just that. I walked into Bach's apartment. It wasn't particularly spacious. Right next to the apartment door, I saw a set of doors that I imagined to be the closet. Walking further in, there was a bit of a main area. Bed at the side, window out to that alley on the wall, table in the middle of the room. Over to the left, I spotted another door. I really went to the bathroom if I had to guess. Man, what was with my obsession with mapping out every goddamn room I ever entered in such detail? Looking for escape routes? I mean, in theory, it could be useful at some points. But I highly doubt I'd ever need to be all that familiar with the layout of Bach's apartment of all places. Guess it just went to show my general paranoia. Not the worst trait in this line of work. So how have you been holding up, Bach? How's life been treating you? It's been, you know. Alcohol prices keep dropping, so that's nice. Pro tip, Bach, that's not a good answer when somebody asks you how your life's been going. True. I don't know if that's true. It lets you fill in the blanks some. Yeah, blanks that don't need filling in. I'm just being honest. You're a politician now, Bach. That's the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be. Honesty is the last thing you need to be. Well, that isn't exactly an anecdote I'd give if I was on the campaign trail. Every citizen of Panthea is a potential voter. Forgive me if I'm arrogant for thinking I have your vote fairly locked in. You don't know me. I'm undecided. Surely you jest. Note number 2, don't use words like jest. They make you sound elitist and douchey. What? Why? Because the elites use words like jest, duh. I use the word jest, though, and I'm sure as shit not elite. It's perception, Bach. It's all perception. Can't imagine this is the most productive use of our time. Right you are. Should we just get down to brass tacks? Tacks? Ah, yes, the legendary brass tacks of 1853. No, it's T-A-C-K-S, right? The brass tacks you stick into a wall or a corkboard. The sooner the better. Making me think you don't like hanging out with me, Bach. You have pictures of me in my underwear, my friend. You wound me. Truly, you wound me. Now who's talking like a jackass? Fair enough. To business we go. I settled down in my chair. I wasn't exactly eager to get to the first point of business, but it had to be done. So, about our first major funding attempt. Yeah, about that. No way around things. I screwed the pooch. Didn't pan out. In my defense, how exactly the fuck was I supposed to plan around Odin coming to chew out Polly the same night I tried to spring this shit on him? Fucking horrible coincidence, that. Sometimes that's how the dice roll. Sometimes you roll a 1. Just kinda have to move forward the best you can. Honestly, at that point, I should have just packed up and left. I still had an out with Odin. I bungled that as well. Crazy old bastard was a bit more perceptive than I gave him credit for. Bach looked down. Was it my fault? What? No! No, you did just right. Okay, good. I was really worried when that alarm went off. Because, you said it was sort of a last resort you weren't expecting to have to use. Well, I didn't expect it. But that's why you always create at least 3 escape plans. And you came free. Granted, a simple, hey, I saw a guy got killed, here's the location would have done. But you got the job done. That's all I can ask of you. Bach sighed out a little bit. He clearly was still minding his presence around me. Didn't want to get on my bad side. That's a little sad. No. The blame? Blame's on me. That doesn't seem fair. I mean, like you said, you were screwed by random chance. Who would think Odin Daceman would show up at a place like Nahoi's Nest? I sure wouldn't. What if I won his game? Wasn't it like a custom game he designed? Can't really be expected to win something like that on your first try. And you saw what happened with me. You tricked me into that blackjack battle game, screwed me over. It's the same thing. It really is. Now that you put it that way. Odin did to you, Locke, what you did to... No, it's not. Because if I were in your shoes, I sure as hell wouldn't have fallen for a stupid trick like Battle Blackjack. So unlike Battle Blackjack, Aligned Stars was the fair game. Odin gave me an out. Several, even. But I failed to grasp a single one of them. Words he left me with wrung at the back of my head. Suspect that you wish to dominate the entire city of Panthea. It is the air of ambition you give off. Right now your ambitions overshadow your talents. You don't have it in you to face down Panthea, if the best you can manage is to flee from me. So the crazy mutterings for a near senile old fool. And yet, couldn't help but feel that in some way he was right. The sharpness that had carried me so far now wasn't enough. I was far from the smartest person in this city. Ah, well, I could have been killed. Managed to avoid that, so that's a glass half full. You fucking what? Oh, did I not mention that? Yeah, some crazy dude that tried to shoot me when I was leaving the casino. Some sort of assassination attempt. You're kidding. Why did you tell me this before now? You did mask. I'm glad you find this a funny situation. You gotta laugh, Bach, because it's either that or crying. Okay, fair. Well, what happened? What happened is that Lady Luck was paying me back for the Odin shitstorm she sent my way earlier that night. Luck and my typical paranoia. Turns out checking your the reflections of windows actually can help out every now and then. Had I not seen that? I shuddered. Anyways, after catching sight of the creep, I put some distance on him. May not be a fighter, but damned if I'm not a good sprinter. You outran the assassin. Sorta. But damn, I had to throw away a perfectly good suitcase and a ton of nice counterfeit bills trying to rid myself of that psycho. Oh? Yeah, I checked down the sewers to try to get him off my trail. Worst part, I'm pretty sure he didn't even go for it. Well, I guess that's some dedication. Where do you find a killer that focused, huh? Bet the dude pays top dollar. Though maybe not if a schlock like me was able to dodge death's noose by just running away. Do you know who did this to you? Did you get a good look? I mean, no, not really. Got a decent glance at his general build and heard him shout out, so I kinda got his voice down. It was dark. He was obscuring his face. I was busy trying not to get shot in the back. Yeah, no, I doubt I could point him out of a lineup. Damn. Is, are assassins a usual thing in your line of work? No, I have to say, this is the first, mon frere. Kinda feels nice. Have me. I'd say, and that's how I know I've made it, when I've got assassins trying to kill me. Finally worth trying to be killed. Yeah, that's something. Gives you a sense of value, you know? Bach stayed silent for a moment, a forlorn look on his face. Clearly he was thinking of something. He sure was. Was he worried about his own safety? Oh, I'm sorry. Guess not. Oh? I'm really sorry. I mean, it's because of me, right? Because of all this. That's why they tried to kill you. Doesn't someone have a high opinion of himself? Huh? The assassins could have come from any number of reasons. I'm just... Even if the assassin wasn't because of this, if you really are going to try and get me elected, you're going to run into trouble. Trust me, it's going to be dangerous. You really should... Oh, Bach. You're really still trying to weasel your way out of this, huh? Huh? Scaring me with a bunch of spooky stories. As if Governor Aisha's so worried about a low-life campaign manager that she's gonna start making my life hell. Funny thing about that, that's exactly what she's doing. No, you're gonna win this election, pal of mine. And you're gonna do it with the help of yours truly. Okay. On that front, let's move to the next point of discussion. I slapped my hand on the table for effect. Ow. The election looms ever closer, and we need to fortify our position in every way possible. The main financing operation might have been a bust. Fine. Okay. Campaigns run into snags all the time. We'll circle back to that soon enough. But it's not like that's all I've been doing. It isn't? No. I've been a very busy bee, Doc. Not really having a job means that I've got a lot of time to help your campaign in a number of different ways. I know we need to make big swings at Aisha if we really want to win that election, but big swings only work if there's groundwork and a follow-through. You need to have a solid push for your governorship already going before we bring out the big guns. Okay, that makes sense to me. What does that mean in practical terms, though? Glad you asked. Elections are wars. You rally your troops, secure weaponry, and charge into several battlefields all across the city. A skilled general, like a skilled gambler, has many outs. Well, if you're the general, who am I in this scenario? The king? Why, the president, of course. I answer to you, after all. I'm already the president. Right. You don't think it's a little confusing, considering that in reality this is an election? Feels like we're mixing language at this point. Hey, don't get in the way of a good metaphor here. Yeah, well, you didn't know I didn't actually think through the metaphor in that much detail. I didn't think you were going to get into the nitty-gritty. You answered with such confidence. Yeah, Bach, that's what I do. I spout bullshit with confidence. I thought you knew by now. Now, can I make my point? Sure. Sorry. Good. So right, I'm the general of your campaign. Right now, I'm launching a three-pronged offensive. First branch is the simplest, the frontal assault. This is your standard stuff, community outreach. You've already identified your niche, men of the people. You just need to lean into that more. A lot of the communities in Panthea are very tight-knit. Which is why I've been going around, spreading your praise on foot. You have? Yep. You don't think word-of-mouth campaigning is a little small-scale? I'm fucking shocked that you have the gall to actually say that aloud with your own mouth. But also, yes, going to every single person in Panthea is a waste of time and also impossible. That's why you go to people in highly gossipy groups and sing Bach's praises. Go to people who are part of big groups with connections and let them do the speaking for you, so to speak. This have been the key community leaders and the talks more in depth. The hope is I'm spreading the gospel to those who can spread it further. And of course, just me talking ain't gonna really do shit. I hope your schedule's clear, because I've got you signed up for a bunch of events in the coming weeks. Seriously, you're just telling me this now. Exactly, I'm telling you this now so you can prepare. Trust me, this is the perfect way to get the ball rolling. You need to be seen in person by as many people as possible, not even necessarily in a political sense. So these events aren't speeches. You've been doing enough speeches. You know who comes to your speeches? People interested in your politics. You need to reach the people who aren't interested in your politics. I guess. That makes sense. I don't think just being seen around is going to get people to vote for me. You underestimate how stupidly people choose to vote. But you're right, just being seen isn't enough on its own. What it represents is visibility. Like I said, to win we're going to need to take larger swings. For them to land, you need a large foundation of visibility. Which leads us to the second prong of my offensive. Aerial support. Aerial support? How does that work? Again, sort of coming up with a metaphor on the fly. Not a one-to-one translation. Talking about your internet presence. Yeah, I know about that. I've got a Pyramid account that I've been managing. A site that accepts donations. I know, I love it. One issue, it's all kind of garbage. Seriously? Hey, don't worry. IJ's internet presence sucks shit as well. Sucks shit seems harsh. Okay, maybe that's a bit of an overstatement. The point is, neither of you are properly harnessing the net. This is actually a front IJ's vulnerable on. In his first campaign, the internet was barely a thing to consider. She isn't properly adapted with the times, which gives you an opening. Fact of the matter is, young people love the internet. They're big fans. Young people are also way more open to change, to shaking up the status quo. Gotta get on the memes. They don't give a shit about IJ having been governor for as long as she has. For all they're concerned, that's a negative. I'm about to say something really awful, but I think Locke would actually do. Get in on crypto. That's right. Bach coin is going to the moon, baby. Really, young people are. They should be. Your core demographic. Hence, aerial support. I've been whipping up a bit of an internet brigade on your behalf. I mean, some people already knew about you before, but it was hardly a movement. I've been spreading my influence, posting a bit on Param, a bit on Kamapa, and just generally stirring the masses into a more codified block. Jane. It took some doing, alts and bots and the like, but once the ball started rolling, it kinda just managed itself. Huh. You know, I have seen more online donations recently. Now that I think about it, more people seem to be interacting with my Param updates. See? Aerial support already in effect. Huh. Well, to be honest, I feel like some of what you've talked about has gone over my head, but if it works, I'm thankful for it. Now, Bach, let me tell you about a thing called the blockchain. Then what's the third prong of the attack? Ah, yes. The third prong. This is the one I'm most proud of. I feel like this might be the thing that really sets us up to take the lead. The rear attack. The rear attack? Yes, the rear attack. It's pretty simple. All I've been doing is putting up a bunch of campaign posters and flyers for Governor Aija's campaign. What? Governor Aija's campaign? But what? Why? Because people need to hear the word. Bach Underworld stands firm in the ruling of Melia versus the state. He's gone on record supporting how that case was settled. Can you really trust him to handle similar decisions in the future? Melia versus the state is a publicly popular opinion, I take it? But I do? Obviously that was settled correctly. Exactly! Which gets people thinking, does Aisha not support that rule? Oh. I see what you're doing. I don't... See, describing them as pro-Aisha posters aren't really doing them justice. They'd more accurately be described as anti-Bach propaganda. Carefully distributed anti-Bach propaganda, mind you. Some pamphlets distributed nearby Duat turf talk about how you've expressed pro-Duat sympathies. Posters on the streets leading to the Olimpo building advertise how you're unqualified, a mere ex-Olimpo employee. Propaganda all through the streets question your qualifications. Are you even born in Panthea? Your parentage seems questionable. Oh no. Let's see your birth certificate. I don't want to go there. Oh god. Hey, what the fuck? That's way over the line. Exactly. What the hell is this Aija campaign thinking? See, that also gets into the... I definitely don't want to get into that sort of thing, because... don't want to even put the thought out there of... because there are very real people out there who believe that awful shit, and who did that awful shit back in the day. They are probably still doing very awful shit. The old birthers. And the reason why I don't want to get into that any further is because those very same people who were into that birther conspiracy shit would also probably suck up something like this. Any sort of implication that the conspiracy shit was careful propaganda by the other side. They would suck it up and latch onto it, even if it flies directly against the fact that they were actually doing the exact thing that they've got a conspiracy now to latch on to blame the other side for. Because politics is so awfully territorial now, it sucks. What the hell is the Aisha campaign thinking? Oh, hello. They really need to stop. They really need to stoop to hateful rhetoric like that? Is this even legal? Hey, none of this propaganda is billed as officially endorsed by Aisha. As far as anyone else is concerned, that's all the work of Aisha fans. The thing is, like it or not, your fans are inevitably going to reflect right back on you. If Aisha goes out to publicly criticize these propaganda posters, well, she might just be losing the approval of the people who actually like these posters. There's a clean way for her to get around it. However you slice it, she's gonna get some mud on her thanks to this tactic. It prevents her from staying on the defensive. That's what we're counting on. Shady as fuck, but kinda clever. It does kind of put the other side on it. It does kind of force them to respond to some of this, and really put them in a difficult position in terms of responding to this. Despite the fact that as much as the tactic intrigues me, I also don't want to even consider something like that in reality because people who believe this stuff would absolutely latch on to this shit. And yeah. Bach clearly had something he wanted to say. Something on your mind? That last strategy seems a little, I don't know, amoral? You think? Bach, I was never much of a Bible scholar, but I'm pretty sure lying is bad in pretty much every creed. You could argue about what it technically is, but that's not bullshit. It's definitely a type of lying. Yeah, right. That's not a problem for you. Huh. Bach, buddy, pal, sweetie, honey, gravy. Seriously? You remember how we met, right? In case you forgot, I still have a truly horrific photo of you stored on my phone. Let me rephrase. It's a problem for me. Oh! Well, lucky you, that's what I'm here for. But you're doing it on my behalf. Correction, I'm doing it on my behalf. I just don't want to play dirty. Yeah. You and every other schmuck who runs for office. That's why you guys lose. That's exactly the reason. Tell me, do you really think Governor Aisha has moral qualms about how she decides to run her campaign? I think she's above the tactics I'm employing. Well, I mean, I haven't seen the evidence on that front one way or the other. Oh, come off it, Bach, you're wiser than that. She keeps her power by sinking her poisoned fangs into any dumbass that tries to oppose her. Anyone who has their ear remotely close to the ground can tell that much. She's a serpent, and that's exactly why you need me. The only way to win this damn thing is deciding to play on her level. You need a snake to wrestle a snake. Do snakes wrestle? Don't know, but if they don't, someone should make them. I bet there's good money in that idea. I'd pay for it. We're off topic again. My point, plain and simple, is that if you want even a chance of winning, you can't pull your punches. You've got to use all tools available to you. And me and my amoral methods are the biggest tool you got. Yeah, you're right. I don't love the idea. But you're right, this election can't be won with fair means. That was a quick turnaround. If this is what you think is for the best, then we'll do it. Awesome! I knew you'd see the light. That phrase doesn't feel appropriate given the context. You sure get hung up on improper metaphors, don't you? Well, I was an English major. And now you live in a shithole apartment like this. How far'd that get you, buddy? Makes sense. It's just a cheap shot. I'm not above cheap shots. I figured that much out. Okay, moving on. I want to keep pushing your campaign forward, but to do that, I'm going to need to know a bit more. A bit more about what? About you. Me? What for? Look, I've looked into your politics and speeches and the like, but that's only going to get us so far. Better or worse, humans are emotional creatures. We resonate more with stories. I want to hear yours. My story? Background, your history, your personal motives. Just want to get a better feel for who you are as a person. Help with my campaign strategy. Well, I mean, sure, I guess. Ask away. Awesome. Let's just start from the beginning. Where were you born? What was super early life like? I don't think it's particularly interesting, but sure. I was born in Stag Bluff. Spent my very early years there. I was an only child. Don't have any interesting stories from that time of my life. I barely remember Stag Bluff, honestly. I have more memories from my few trips back there than any memories from when I legitimately lived there. Some time in elementary school, my dad had to move to Panthea for business-related reasons. So just like that, we moved here. We were never a particularly well-off family. Middle class at the best of times. Needless to say, we weren't living it up in the nice part of Panthea. But still, I really liked Panthea. Despite everything that's happened since then, the city's core really hasn't changed over the years. It's not a flawless core. It has scratches and the like, but it's a genuine one, a shining one. There's a lot of people and so many different types. There are close-knit communities all across the city, so many different things to see, places to visit. It's not even a particularly large city, it's just dense. And Pantheans, you know, and we're not the nicest bunch. We have our differences, but they can also band together in some pretty spectacular ways. I don't know, maybe it's just worth the sentimentality. Undoubtedly, I'm biased since I was from Stag Bluff. Compare that place to Panthea, and it looks like a complete ghost town. Definitely appreciated the change of scenery. Okay, cool. You went to Panthea at an early age and appreciated its beauty. You're a big fan. Let's move on in the timeline a little bit more. What's next? What's adult life like? Again, nothing particularly special. Leaving college, I had some big ideas about what I wanted to be. Ideas about really making a mark, changing things. They didn't, pan out, as adulthood tends to do sometimes. They didn't particularly pan out. Life's not fair. Not often fun. It's just a lesson you eventually learn. My story is perhaps relatable to a lot of people who never left Panthea. I started working at a limbo because it was a job that I could get. It was never my passion, never what I pictured as my end goal. I always thought of it more as a stopgap, you know? Help pay for some bills, give me more experience. I'd swing from that to something else, I don't know. Didn't really have a hard plan, and that was the rub, I guess. Life doesn't really give you clean points to stop and plan things out, it just goes. It's very easy to get lost in the flow, if you're not mindful. So I stayed at a limbo for much longer than I expected. Moved up the ranks because I was decently talented. Before I knew it, I got to a decently paying job. It paid well enough. I knew how to do it. It was easy. It was safe. I just fell into a groove, you know. And that was that. Have any hobbies? What's that? People like to relate over shared hobbies. Probably had some spare time to yourself, right? Me, no family, no obligations, definite spare time. So how'd you spend it? Oh, well... Gambling, you know more than me, and Hoy's Nest and all. Sure, but I was wondering if there's anything else you did with your free time. More probably palatable? Hobbies, perhaps? Nope, can't really think of anything particular. Really? Just drinking and light gambling? Oh, well, I watched TV and read some books, but that's kind of it. Okay. So then you were an office drone, working day in, day out. Suddenly you decide to run for office. Why? What changed? Why now? Why uproot your life like that? Bach was deep in thought. You okay? Yeah, just getting my thoughts in order. Give me a moment. Sure, take all the time you need. As I said, I gave Bach another beat. It's hard to say. I guess I was just tired of the way things were going. Like I said, I always thought I wanted to be important. To do something. To make an impact. It was becoming painfully clear that nothing I was doing was making any real difference. It's easy to not see that. To delude myself elsewhere. One night I left a bar a little drunk. As I was stumbling out, I kind of walked right up to the road. And a car zoomed right past my face. If I stumbled a few more steps, he would have run me over, and that would have been curtains. Game over. That night the encounter played in my head over and over. What would have happened if I did die then and there? What would be my legacy? I don't know. It's not like I made up my mind right then and there. You don't really come to big decisions that quickly, not really. If you had to ask me, I'd say that was the seed. A seed that wriggled and combined with the other events I was reading about until eventually, the idea to run for governor was truly born. Like I said, I don't actually hate Governor Aisha. I don't think she's doing all that bad a job. But she's not... I don't know. Maybe this is pedantic to say, but I'm not sure that she's doing things fast enough. I think that's because she's more concerned with not rocking the boat, with personal reputation. Because of that, she slowly moves toward a better Panthea. But I don't think moving slowly is going to work. Every step of progress you make, the city will just take another step back. Underworlds have been around for decades, and that's not going to change unless you actively make swings at them. There have been legal loopholes just sitting around that have been out in the open for years now. To really get change, you need to be a wrecking ball, one not concerned about political gain or optics, and Aisha doesn't have it in her. And I don't think we really have the same vision of Panthea. Aisha seems to favor a limbo. She wants him to become this behemoth, this titan of industry. And, she wants to help smaller jobs too, sure. If you create $1 trillion company in your city, that's a big accomplishment. That's a lot of leverage. It gives you power on a national scale, international scale even. I think Aisha almost sees Olimpo as a main facet of Panthea. It's a part of Panthea's DNA. She wouldn't be opposed if most everything commercial here is some offshoot of the Olimpo brand, and I don't know if I agree with that mindset. There's strength in centralization, sure. Trust me, as a higher up at Olimpo, I could tell you that for days. You get efficiency, you get order, you get single-minded focus. But to me, Panthea's real strength has always been its diversity. We're home to so many different types of people, points of view. There are tons of aspiring artists, or promising young entrepreneurs, or simple, good-working citizens, all who have value. When I moved to Panthea, there were too many restaurants to even count. Everyone brought their own distinct flavor, their special spark. They weren't all good, hell no, but they were all worthwhile. Nowadays, at least half the restaurants here are Olimpo-owned, and it feels like the other half is soon to follow. My ideal Panthea would have security and stability and prosperity, sure, all those things that Aisha wants. It'd also focus on creativity and freedom. Be a place where people could choose what they wanted to do, and try and spread their wings and either plummet or soar based on their own merit. A freedom that actually favors the little guy, a careful freedom measured by the government. Not the freedom Aisha now totes, a wild freedom that favors the strongest, that favors Olimpo. For a singular moment, I saw it. I saw the appeal Bach brought as a candidate. So obscured by a dozen other things, but beneath the surface, Bach was a strong idealist and a decent speaker. Yeah, I could get behind this. It was certainly an uphill battle. Lord knows it was uphill. He really had potential for this. Fantastic. Truly, great stuff, Bach. Absolutely loved it. This is what I need to work my magic. Thanks for sharing. No problem. Just sort of talked about myself. That's all I need to do. Pro tip, open yourself more like that going forwards. People love it. I'll try to, I guess. Don't know if it'll make a difference. Oh, sure it will. Uh-huh. Tell me, honestly speaking, how are we looking in the election? Like, yes, you had your whole 3 prongs thing, and that's a setup or whatever, but right now, what are our odds? You know, dwelling on the negatives isn't good for the soul. Bach? Maybe 5% we win? Bach sighed. Which, mind you, about a 1 in 20 shot. That can happen. Right. Things are slightly better than if I had put all my life savings on a single number in roulette. Except, wait, if I win, I don't even get 36 times my winnings back. Huh. Hey, buddy. Chin up. Why? You said yourself we won't win without swings. We don't have swings to take. Stick a fork in me, we're done. You just pack your bags and spend your time on a more fruitful prospect. You know, right now I feel like slapping you to bring you to your senses. And I'm not going to do that. It's probably a little extreme and uncalled for, but I'm just verbalizing that to show you where I'm at, right now. I already said we're in this together, so quit with the woe is me crap and help me think for a bit, would ya? Locke, if I could have come up with some way to win the election, I would have done it by now. Yeah, well, before you didn't have me. With our brains combined, we can come up with an earth-shattering new strategy that will define the Panthean election meta for years to come. Bach seemed less than unenthused, but I trudged on forwards. Here's the problem, and I'm gonna loop back to an old metaphor like this. Right now in this war, we're a poor country going up against a world superpower. The main reason we've yet to be blown off the map is because said world superpower isn't dedicating all their forces to us. Our guerrilla tactics are useful, sure, but they're not gonna win. Not really. That's not exact. Guerrilla tactics don't work when going on the attack, okay? Right now, we're the invaders. Don't. I fucking saw you open your mouth, just let the metaphor play. As I was saying, we're only going to have a real shot at winning this if we get some high-grade weaponry of our own. A nuclear bomb of sorts. And to acquire that, we need a ton of cash, quick. Really could have just led with that. I'm an artist, I like painting pictures, sue me. Look, I agree, if we had a fraction of Aisha's funding, we could capitalize off of all the groundwork you've been putting out. The problem is we don't. We had a chance with your idea to scam Polly, but that went south. It's not like we're going to be able to do the same thing twice. Bach was absolutely right. The Dayspas were now a dry well. There weren't any other uber-rich families with exposed weak points. To get a huge score, I'd probably take a carefully crafted plan. A plan I didn't have time to create, with the election looming so close. Shit. There's really no way around it. We just need money. Money truly runs the world. If we want to take down Aisha, we need a ton of money. It's the only way. The only path is money. Or a scandal. Or a... What? Or a scandal. Or... a scandal. You're starting to freak me out a bit, Locke. Locke, you're so right. You're so right. Something huge got out about Aisha. She couldn't just make it go away with the snap of her fingers. Would they give you an opening, huh? Yeah, but I mean, come on. I've just been very smart about this stuff. She's a carefully crafted life built to avoid scandal. We don't have anything on her. I mean, there isn't anything to have on her. Is that right? I scanned my mind. Focus, focus, focus. Think about everything I know about Panthea at this point. All its quirks. Is there anything at all, that might lead to a weakness of Aisha? Turn through it all in my head. Eventually, I might have something. Huh? The assassin. The key is the assassin. What do you mean? I thought you said the assassin could have been after you for any sort of reason. No, that's wrong. I said that out of ignorance. Thinking about it carefully, nobody from past cities I visited possibly knows where I am. I made sure of that. I can say that with 100% certainty. And they were definitely after me, for strong reason. They didn't fucking take the suitcase bait. It had to be an assassin directly after me. Okay, and? Who would want me dead? Enough to send an assassin after me? Who hates Locke with that burning passion? Anyone who gets to know you for more than 5 minutes. Okay, now you're talking in third person. That's fun. My Dace-Macon failed, so they had no reason to go after me. Plus, the assassin came right after the night at the casino. That's not enough time to hire an assassin in the best of circumstances. You don't know this, but since I've gotten here, I really haven't done that much. Low-rate gambles at worst. No, there's exactly one thing of substance I've done that could make me the target of assassination. That has become your campaign manager. Seriously. I mean, I know I sort of suggested it earlier, but... would Governor Aisha really? I don't know, it just seems a little extreme, doesn't it? Assassinating some random campaign manager. Why not me? Because if her political rival got gunned down, it's a story. If a no-name conman does, it's a non-entity. Depending on how good her info network is, she could have known that I was making moves against her. Well, she knows that she can deal with me. She recognizes a snake when she sees a snake. She recognizes a threat when she sees a threat. It takes one to know one and all. Worried that I could come after her in ways that are unorthodox and dangerous. Especially if she does have legitimate things to hide. She wanted to wipe me out of the picture very early on. Hence, assassination attempt. Okay, then. So what? So what? Governor is sending assassins in response to so what? Look, no doubt this story is unbelievable, Locke. Definitely unbelievable. But assuming it's true, what does that do for us? Best we have is your half measure of a story. That's nothing. That's less than nothing. That's not a scandal. That's a half-baked theory. Right. On its own, doesn't mean anything. The key is that Aisha has a man like that in the first place. Because of that, we can make some assumptions to how she'd react to given scenarios. The key is linking her to the mystery man, then the mystery man to assassinatory things. If we do that, then we have her. And again, how do you intend to do that? Oh, leave that to me. First things first, we gotta link Aisha to the man. How to go about that? You know, this might be as good a time as ever to put that kid to some use. You know what? I have someone in mind who could be of help. You do? I've got a little laugh. Better put your war face on, Bach. About to start the real battle. Well. Politics. They exist. That's all I have to say about the subject matter. Fuck people who say they have that. Fuck people who say that everything is political. I've got a shitload to say about that. Everything's political in the same way that everything is art, or everything's negotiation. It's just linguistic soup at some point. Maybe I'm just dumb. Big scale things hurt my brain. I have enough room in it to contemplate one big scale idea, and I've had one in the oven for a while now that's taking up all the space. I prefer human interest stories. I like to get real personal with my, with my friends, for one. Like you. You're my friend, right? Sure! Lady, I don't even understand who I am. I don't even know what that would mean in this context. Whoa, seems like you're dealing with some pretty heavy stuff. You know what you need in times of crisis? A friend. I guess? Do I? You do. You do. Tease, you don't even know that, bestie? Talk about awkward. You know who else I like? Bach. Bach's fun. Real punching bag. We all need a punching bag in our lives. Wish I ran into more Bachs. I run into precious few as it is. Oh yeah, Bach's great. Just wish he didn't have to keep that deep dark secret. Wait, what secret? Oh, you don't know? Bach totally has some super dark secret. I mean, I don't know it, but like, it's obvious, right? He's too... I don't know, he's just not got anything going on. Clearly there's going to be some big twist with him. We're going to bet on this, aren't we? He's secretly going to be working for a Satanist cult or something. You can just tell, right? In fact, I'm so confident about this, I'm going to make it a bet. Go on, lay in some free chips. Bet on the fact that Bach is hiding a deep secret from Locke. It's so obvious. He's got the secret ever written all over his face. Think about it, I'm making it a bet. Bet that has to be checked at some point. Like, clearly when the secret is revealed. What would the alternative be? Like, how do you reveal the fact that he doesn't have a secret? What would that look like? Hempel's Raven it? Seems awful complicated. No, this is free chips. So go on, just bet. Hempel's Raven is... Raven Paradox. Rising from the question of what constitutes evidence for the truth of a statement. Observing objects that are neither black nor ravens may formally increase the likelihood that all ravens are black, even though intuitively these observations are unrelated. Ah, yes. Yeah, it's the all ravens are black. In the form of an implication, this can be expressed as if something is a raven, then it is black. So, the contraposition of that statement, the equivalent is if something is not black, then it is not a raven. In all circumstances where 2 is true, where if something is not black, then it is not a raven, it's true, 1 is also true. If 2 is false, it's also false. So in theory, both statements match. All ravens are black. If something is a raven, it is black. If something is not black, it is not a raven. Circumstances where one of those statements is true, the other is true. Make a statement. My pet raven is black. Something is a raven, it is black. My raven is black. It is black. So if we apply this to the converse side of things, the example they give is the green apple. This green apple is not black, and it is not a raven. Is the sighting of a green apple evidence supporting the notion that all ravens are black? It's a bit confusing to answer in the middle of nothing here, but... Oh, no, this is free chips, so go on. Just go on, bet. Does Bach have a deep, important secret he's hiding from Locke? Well. Feels like this is really... This is where things are going to pick up, aren't they? Because this is, logistically, the midpoint of each character's story. Where the plotline starts to swing. Perhaps a middle lull, but a lull that sets things in motion going forward. Realistically, I can understand if you're not really that into the discussion present in this episode between Locke and Bach. It was kind of interesting, just in the sense of hearing more about Bach, actually getting a bit more world built in terms of Panthea, history of Bach, history of Panthea, history of Asia, the political landscape of sorts, and Bach actually taking some legitimate means of attempting to campaign for Bach. It's intriguing to see, and it's definitely, this episode is setting up for things to come further down the line. We have the tease of potential scandal, exposing scandal, referencing the assassin, and now referencing the talents of a kid. Don't know who that's referencing. Could we be referencing Vels? I wonder. We do know that at the end of Vels' last story, it's funny that literally next video we're getting back into Vels' story. Because it might very well be that Locke is referring to Vels here. Might make that the other poll question, besides today's bet. But interesting. Very interesting. We have Laverna's build in terms of addressing the discord in the police department. And now we have Locke's build, which is actually putting his campaign tactics into action. I guess focusing more on the campaign instead of Locke's scamming. Interesting backstory on both Locke and Bach. Focusing on the campaign, it seems like they're taking the angle of scandal. So we'll see who Locke is referring to next time. Until then.